Welcome to the latest episode of 305 Vox Populi. I'm Mayor Manny Cid, and with us today, it's a great guest, un amigo de la casa, friend of the town of Miami Lakes forever, Ismael Diaz. How you doing, Ismael?
I'm doing fantastic. And you want me to call you Manny or Mr. Mayor?
Manny, we're friends.
I can call you Mr. Mayor too.
No. It's all good,
No, I'm doing great, Manny. Thank you so much, and thank you for inviting me. It's a real pleasure to be here with you. And you know, this is my only stomping ground, so I'm really happy. Great memories of Miami Lakes.
100%. And today you're the finance director at Margate, right? It's a big deal, right? You're managing a lot of money over there, right? So we look at the town of Miami Lakes, and we do a lot of great stuff, right? But we're not a full service city. We don't have fire. We don't have police. We don't have utilities, right? Where you all have stormwater.
Yeah.
Not only stormwater, but you have sewer, right? Mm-hmm. That you have to maintain. $300 million, right? Under your leadership to make sure that things are done right, appropriated right, sent out right, documented correctly. But we're going to start somewhere else, right? We're going to start with your why. When did you decide that public service was in your blood? I know the answer to that, but a lot of folks might not. And you've shared it with me in the past because I think it was ingrained in family conversations, right? So when did you say, because a lot of the kids growing up in PR, growing up here in the States, especially los Latinos, the Hispanics, you know, from the Caribbean, we want to play baseball, go to the major leagues.
Right.
You know, that's always the dream. But when was that day that you said, you know what, I fell in love with public service?
You know, and that's a very interesting question because well, first of all, I was born in Puerto Rico. I was born in a sugarcane plantation, as a matter of fact. And that was because the doctor was there and my mom was taken there because he was doing another birth. So I was born in Salinas, Puerto Rico, which is a sugarcane plantation called Aguirre. And so I was born in Puerto Rico, and we kind of traveled throughout Puerto Rico, my father and so forth. He had different jobs in post office and so forth. He went to the military. And then we went to New York. We were living in the Bronx and Westchester and Elder. I got there when I was like 3.5 years old. And then when I was like 7 years old, my father had decided to go to Puerto Rico and run for mayor. He always liked the government. So he ran for mayor of Guayama, Puerto Rico, which is a huge town compared to the towns in Puerto Rico. And 1972, he won landslide. I mean, incredible. And so we moved from the Bronx to Guayama. Now I'm 7 years old. First, I didn't know any English when I went to New York. Then when I came back to Puerto Rico, I can understand Spanish, but I could not speak Spanish. So then I had to, learn the language again and so forth. So you go through all these transformations, right? And so we spent 12 years in the town of Guayama. My father was a strong mayor. And I saw my father do just incredible things. My father was the type of man that, and for disclosure purposes, my father was not a saint. My father had mistresses all over the place, okay? And not just mistresses. They had houses, they had cars, they had kids, he always called it, I have my cathedral, but I also like my churches.
Got it.
Okay? And that was my father. And I have that little bit of transparency from him because he used to just tell you the way it is. Okay? So he was a man of the people. He was a very humble guy. He was the guy that grew up in a household where there were 10 kids and they ate meat only on Fridays. That's how poor they were. And my grandfather sold bread. My grandmother never learned how to read and write. So you come from these humble beginnings, and my father was that real, true town person, and he loved the people. So the people, voted for him. He got to be mayor. And I saw him, build hospitals and roads. And I never forget that, and I'm going to get to my why, okay? But I'm taking the
It's all
little
good.
bit of a longer road. I never forget my father. My father had friends, okay? But I learned from him that you dance, but you never sleep with them. You dance and you never sleep with them. And you know me.
Yep.
You know that I dance, but I don't sleep with anyone. So he had this friend, and he has this barrio, right? This community. And he had done sidewalks throughout this community. He had a project of doing sidewalks and putting, a sewer and water and sewer and all stuff throughout this whole community, big community in the town. And he had this friend that was going to do it. He won the contract, and he was going to do it. And one day, my father, I used to wake up every Saturday morning. Let me go with my father, because I love to go through the town and look at this and look at that. And my father would just, he would just audit everything that was going on in the town. The garbage, is it picked up? Is it clean? Is it not clean? Are the lights good? And sometimes at night he will come. Hey, come on, let's go. Let's look at the lights and make sure that all the lights were working and stuff like. I mean, just that's the way he was, and he would just talk to everyone in the town. So we go to this community to look at the sidewalk. Manny, the sidewalks were completely crooked. They were crooked. I mean, it was just a disaster. So there were no phones at that time. I'm talking about, I was maybe 10 years old. This is back probably 1976, 1977, or whatever it was. And we go back home. He picks up the phone. He calls this guy, okay, that was in another town in Ponce, Puerto Rico, it was far. And he said, you come here right now, you come here. My father had a temper, right? The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. But you come here right now. So the guy comes, past like an hour passed, the guy's at my house. And my father, just berated this guy so much that he told him, I'm taking the project completely away from you, and I'm not paying you for what you have done. He got on his knees and started crying. He grabbed my father. This was a big, huge guy. And he grabbed my father's leg, and he started crying on my father's. I will never forget those things. Never forget them. And my father let him finish, but he put another contractor as a supervisor for him. So my father, because he cared for the people, and he said to him, how do you dare? How do you dare do this to the people? And that was my father. He cared for all that stuff. So I saw him do so many things, put telephone lines, telephone service, sidewalks. We built the first basketball court in Guayama, the first hospital, okay? He took the town square, he remodeled the whole town square. It was just beautiful. So he did so many other things. He was there for 12 years.
That's awesome.
And so I saw that. It has so many stories, but I'm not going to bore you with them. I saw that, and I would be lying to you if I said this is what I want to do in life and this is my passion. I spent so much time in politics. I never forget, one day my father's home, and here came someone from his party, and we're in this back room, and I'm sitting there, and they're talking politics, and my father's telling him, this is what you need to do. Because my father was the type of politician that if you didn't fight hard enough, he will do things to you so you had to fight hard enough, because he loved the fight. He loved the fight, okay? And so he told them what he needed to do. And then like half an hour passed. He left. Half an hour passed. Here comes his enemy from the other party. And we get back to the room. And I'm just sitting there listening, right? And I'm a kid. And he told this guy what to do, because he wanted just to go at it. He wanted to fight. He wanted that. He loved it, okay? And so when he left, I asked my father, I said, Dad, I said, what? And my father was a bit of a rough guy. He said, I said, how come you had, the person in charge of the politics in our party, And then you had the enemy come over, how come? He says, you have two jobs. One is you listen, and the other one you shut up. And that was it for me. That was it for me. But that was my father. He has so many faces. And I would tell you, coming back to the why, that I spent so much time in politics and so many things that a lot of things were great for my heart, okay, and enlightening to my heart, and some of things were very detrimental to my heart. My father, we and sometimes I came with him every Christmas, every before Christmas. We would go to New York, and my father was to buy boxes and boxes and boxes and boxes and boxes of toys, okay? And he would ship them to Puerto Rico, and we would store them in our house. We had some storage over there. And my father would go to the barrios close to Christmas, and he will let the parents, depending on how many kids they have, come and get some toys for their kids. So he called them Toys for Poor Kids. It was a beautiful, beautiful thing that my father did every single year. So one day, they knock on the door, 7 o'clock in the morning. I go to the front of the door, and there's this guy. There was already a line of cars outside of my house because they came because they wanted to get some toys for their kids. So they would come to the house. And so I called my dad. I said, "Hey, Dad, there's someone there." He says, "Okay." So he opens the door, and we go into this carport. You know how the carport's inside. And there's a box of toys. There's a couple of boxes there full of toys. So he says to the guy, he says, "Hey, how many kids you have?" He says, "I have 3. I have 1 girl, I have 2 boys." And he says, "Well, go to the box and choose three toys, whatever you want. Just choose 3 of them." In the meantime, I was playing baseball, and that year I was playing catcher.
Nice.
So my father had bought me a catcher's mitt, and it was a red mitt, beautiful red mitt, beautiful. I had already oiled it. I had not used it in a real game, but I have been using it and molding it and the whole thing. And I'm outside because there was one thing that happened to me when I was a kid with my father and all this thing about being in City Hall, right? And it was that I love to listen and analyze. Even when I was a kid, I don't know why, but I just love to observe and learn. And I was observing his interaction with this guy. That's why I can remember all these things. And I had my mitt. But the guy picks up 2 toys, and then he's going to pick another one. And he looks at me. My father's there waiting. And he looks at the box, and he looks at me, and he says to my father, "I want that." And my father says, "You want what?" He says, "I want that mitt that he has." And my father says, "You can't have that mitt. That's my son's mitt. That's my son's mitt." And the guy says to my father, looks at my father and says, "So you give us these things, but the best things you give to your kid." And my father says, "Sir, I bought that with my own money for my son." And he looked at, and I will never ever forget the pain in my father's face. And you know this as a mayor of Miami Lakes, right?
Yeah.
You try to please everyone, you satisfy none.
You're right.
Okay? You try to please everyone, you satisfy none. Okay? And I have many like those. But so it was a contradiction, right? I grew up in contradiction. Do I love this? Do I do not love this? But there was always something that I gravitated me to the city, to the perfect town, to the perfection of living together. Okay, to that type of structure, and I loved it. You know, public works and the lights and the gas tanks and the buses and the school buses and the floods and how we would go, and when there were floods, and we would, be water up to our waist, and the school buses rescuing people from the homes. I mean, I did all that stuff. When I ran for town manager here, I told you some of these stories. I had done some of these things, and they were just enlightening things in life. It's like almost God put you there for that. Then my father went from being a mayor for 12 years in Guayama to being a representative of the state for one of the districts, including Guayama, and he did that for another 8 years. At that time that he went to San Juan as a representative, I got married. I got married after high school. We had Isdi, Diane and I, and I started working in manufacturing and so forth. And I did campaigning for him, but I did not continue to work with him in the government. So I went to the private sector. I went to manufacturing, to making empty shotgun shells and so forth, then to intraocular lenses. Yeah, I've been like in 14 different places. Most of them, probably 90% has been private sector. Probably 40% has been in manufacturing. Probably 30% have been in services, actually marketing, and then the other have been in nonprofit. So I've been kind of, a jack of all trades and an expert at none. Although I learned yesterday that's better than being an expert at one. That's the rest of that adage. So, I went to the private sector, and I never looked back. And I was so entertained with the manufacturing. I was so entertained with the business, and I had so great mentors, including Mary Steerheim.
Yeah, rest in
peace. Rest in peace, a great man. Yep. And so I never. So when you ask me my why, it's interesting, because I will tell you, Manny, that I did not choose the public sector. The public sector chose me.
That's a good way to put it.
And I don't know why. I do not know why, in the sense that I don't think that my career is not even close to finish. And I'm going to come back to that and remind me if I don't. I'm trying to do the weave.
No, I will.
The weave. So why? I did not choose public sector. Public sector chose me. So I spent all this time, from manufacturing, citrus, concentrate. Okay, in Fort Pierce with the good old boys up there with the cowboys. They treated me so great. To intraocular lenses, to shotgun shells, to Western Union, Calvary Chapel, Fort Lauderdale. Okay, $120 million operation. I mean, all these things. And at the end of the day, I try to get out, and they pull me back in. I come back to government. I came to Miami Lakes.
Well, and I'll tell you this, because I got to see. I was here when you got here, and I was.
Yes, you were in the council.
Yep. And I was here when you left, right? So there's two, and again, this is not to disrespect public servants, but there's two buckets, right? And I've been doing this for 19 years, right? In the state for 7 years, I got to meet, you name it, from governors, all the way down. And then here for 12 years. So I've seen it. A mí no me pueden meter cuento. I've seen it all. It's there's two buckets, right? There are those public servants who do their job, and who are told, hey, this is your contract. This is your job. They do it. 5 o'clock, they leave. That's it. And there are those who not only do their job, but they make a difference. Mm-hmm. And I have you in the category of people who made a difference, right? So when you left here, one of the things that we gave you proclamation, we honored, because you made that difference, right? You made you didn't just do your job. Doing your job would have been, oh yeah, you're there reporting, here are the finances every day, every month, we're good, and that's it. No, but you wanted to make things better, right? You brought in a new bank, you changed things around. We started making money off of our investments, which then it affords us an opportunity to invest in our infrastructure. When COVID came in, you're the fastest city to process checks to help out our small businesses, right? Right away. I mean, the turnaround was an example for everybody else. When we didn't have money, when we were running out of money because of Hurricane Irma, you were like, you know what, this is the wrong way to do it. Let's get a line of credit. Let's do this. I mean, there's so much that you did because you made a difference. And I think your story, now I understand why you make a difference, right? Because you saw that example every day in your dad. Your dad could have just been a mayor who comes into the council meeting, Fremont, oh yeah, whatever happens, I'm here. But no. But he did. He's in that bucket. He was in that bucket just like you, where you made a difference. So when you made the decision to leave to market, I was not only happy for you, but I was so proud because I'm like, man, this is a guy that could have gone anywhere, but you didn't make a lateral move, right? You went up, right? You went from a city of 30, we really have 30 employees, right? 30 plus employees, right. Maybe at the max, 40, $50 million, depending on, to a full service city, 500 employees, $300 million, where now you're make what you made here, the difference here, what you learned here, and what you injected here, not to that next level. I mean, how does that process feel for you? Because I know why your dad is no longer here. I'm sure he's smiling down from heaven, right? Because he instilled that in you, which is making a difference. And again, there's not criticizing the folks who do their job. Congratulations, kudos to you. But we also have to have a different bucket for those who go above and beyond and make a difference, right? So how does that feel? How does that journey feel where now you look back and you're like, man, the town still doing well, right? I think that's always the best legacy for somebody. My department, it's still doing well. A lot of what I implemented, it's still there. It's getting better. And then now I'm taking this to another level, right? I've taken this to Margate where we're injecting this on a completely different scale, right? You're scaling up, which I think that's awesome. And I there's other employees of ours that have left and they've made lateral moves where sometimes they go and I'm like, I feel good for you, and I congratulate them. But I think yours was powerful because now you're leveling up and you're taking that to the next level. But how does that feel where you look back today, you walk back into City Hall and you're like, man, Kay's there, everybody's there, and the processes that you put in place are still providing dividends today? Yeah,
I mean, I feel proud. I feel very proud. And, I always, my mentor, one of my mentors, my strongest mentor, Merit Steerheim. It's funny because I love wisdom and I like to think. And each time I wanted to kind of try to teach him something, I was so tentative about talking to him about it because I felt like I was being disrespectful, and nothing to do with him because he was very open-minded. But I taught him one thing, I think, and I taught him that because you see the shield, how we did downstairs, we did the shield and the whole thing. Well, the original shield, that is shield or shield, and that it's in the dais. That's the original one, and he paid $600 to make it. And if you look at the back of that, it has his name on it, that we wrote it, okay? Because he's the one that paid for it out of his pocket, not his design. The design is someone else in here.
Felicia,
right?
She's still a volunteer here.
Okay, well, God bless her. And then, but Mary is the one that paid for that shield. So he was on when I got the job here. He was on me like, Ismael, I want to make sure that I leave that legacy. I leave that legacy there for that shield. And I said, okay. So I talked to Alex Ray at that point. Gina also helped me, and we did what we did downstairs. And you were here when we gave it to him. As a matter of fact, you asked me to say some words, and I didn't want to take the floor, so I said no. Let everything fall where it falls. And so Merritt, I always told him, I said, after that, I said, Merritt, do you want to know something? He says, what? He says, the do you mind if I teach you something? He says, like, no. What is it? What is it? I hope I don't know it. You know, he was like that, feisty. And I said, we don't leave legacies. We take them. And he started thinking about that. He's like, wow, that's interesting. I said, don't exhaust yourself with leaving legacies, because the legacy, you take them. I said, look, one day someone will take everything that you have touched, okay, and destroy it. Every single wall and every single place in the county or everywhere that you went, those walls, they saw you, they recognized you, and the day you left, they forgot you. Okay? And look what happened now, where he touched directly or indirectly millions of people in this county. Yeah. And you can count the people that went to his service. Right? So I don't believe, this is my opinion, that we don't leave legacies. I believe that we take them. And the picture of that is you sitting down in the balcony with your grandkid, one of your grandkid, on your lap, and you telling them and giving them and storytelling some of the things that you had accomplished and you did. And that's the legacy, because you took it. You didn't leave it. And that's the way that I see some of the legacies. So to answer your question, weaving back, I am extremely happy of everything that happened here when I left, that Kay, stayed here, that you guys heed my advice, that all the processes were here. I was just telling Kay a little while ago, she's like, I'm just keeping the operations going and stuff like that, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, that's probably because we did so many things to improve that now all you got to do is maintain them. And that's a great thing. You improve things here and there, but you can continue to maintain these things. And I feel great about all that stuff. But my biggest legacy, Manny, is the one where I sit somewhere with someone and say, let me tell you about Miami Lakes. Let me tell you the things that we did in Miami Lakes, how we got this line of credit in Miami Lakes, and we all sat there and we all agreed that this was the best thing to do. And let me tell you how the mayor was a champion for us, because you were, okay? And let me tell you about the cafecito that I used to have there. And let me tell you how we improved munis over there, that when I got to Miami Lakes, they called it mucus, okay? And I made it Munis, Tyler, okay? Why? Because we implemented the workflows, and we implemented all the digital stuff and all the scanning, and we made it all paperless. That's the legacy that exists. But that legacy is here, and it's here. It's in my heart, and it's in my mind. So I do believe in legacies. I just believe in taking them.
That's powerful. There's going to be a lot of kids watching this, working on this, so I think those words are gonna resonate with them, because a lot of people focus so much on posterity, right? They pay for posterity. Mm-hmm. Oh no, they don't want my name. I want to do this. But I think you're absolutely right. I mean, that's super powerful. And today you have to, at any point in Margate, there's a cash flow. There's cash in banks and in different funds, over 190 something $1 million, right? Mm-hmm. Where you're in charge of that. Where it's not only, and again, it's just to showcase the difference. Miami Lakes, we would send out a check to police, $2 million, whatever it is, every month, and that's kind of it, right? We were following it. Over there, no, you have it internal. The police, you have the fire inside, you have water, you have the sewer. I mean, you have so many things. So how was that transition, and where are you today? Because I know you're kicking butt. I know you're doing amazing things, because you're a process guy. You're a guy that wants to make a difference. But how was that transition? Because I'm not saying that it was jamon here, because there's always time to improve. But there's such a difference in terms of so many moving parts, right? That is so amazing that you're in charge of that, right?
Absolutely. And anything that I say, let's make sure that is understood, that I don't want to at all diminish anything about the town of Miami Lakes. I think the world of the town of Miami Lakes. As a matter of fact, it still even sometimes come out of my mouth over there. I said, town Miami Lakes. But this was it is, and it was a great school for me. I made some great friends here. There were some great leaders here, and this was a great place for God to settle me for 7 years, and I really do appreciate absolutely everything. And sometimes we go through hard times, right? You and I went through hard times here, but we chose to stick with each other. And I never forget, I'll never forget. So I'll give you this kudos that when I kind of ran for manager, I always said that I was going to either win or I was going to learn, but I was not going to lose. And after I lost, right, which I did lose this election, but I learned so much, and that's what I wanted to stick with. And some days after that, you came to my office, and you looked at me and you said, I know that this is hard, but I hope that you stay with us. And you gave me your hand. And I appreciated that. I appreciated that because I saw another side of you that maybe a lot of people don't see. And I appreciated that. And I took the high road. I decided to take the high road on everything, right? And not be bitter about this election, and not have anything against anyone and so forth. And I think that part of my success here has to do with that. So, town of Miami Lakes, fantastic. City of Margate, and by the way, 90%. 92% something, because I even have the exact numbers I've been in 14 different places. Okay. I have a 40-year financial career, and 92% of those, it has been God directed me. And I can tell you stories that no atheist can refuse. God has placed me in 92% of those places. Okay? And to prove that is God is not only 92% of the places, but in 100% of the places, no one has ever known me from a hole in the wall.
That's powerful.
Okay?
That's powerful.
God has been my best headhunter, I always say. All right? Until this day, when I need an employee, I don't call headhunters. I call God, and God brings them to me. And when I see someone that's they're in trouble and is a bad apple, I call God, and God either removes or renews. So I depend on that. And don't think that I'm this spiritual person that eats saints in the morning, because I'm not. I'm a hard nose. I'm fastidious. Okay. But I do believe in my Lord Jesus Christ, and I believe in God. And the city of Margate, when I went to the city of Margate, and I saw all these operations, it was a little bit intimidating. Don't think that it was not. It was intimidating. But I found there a great team. We have around 16 people in our department. Great team, and I found a lot of employees that were dying to make a difference, and they had not been allowed for whatever reasons. So, it's like going to a library and you find all the books there, but you need to dust them and you need to put them in alphabetical order. And that's what I did in Margate. And we have done so many things, so many projects. This year we've done like 9 different projects, because listen, we have fire assessments that we have to renew. we have cost analysis that we have to redo. And we have to manage all these contractors. Okay, so costing, we charge different departments and stuff like that, and that's all based on a costing model. We have the fire assessment that we have to go out there and we have to send notices and we have to get all the expenses and we have to do all these things and work with we did this ERP procurement that we just did, and as a matter of fact, Ocala called our new ERP company and ask them to ask me if they can plagiarize my memo.
That's awesome. It's always flattering, right? When
It is. It's you know what? It's flattering, but by the same token, to me, I make sure that it's humbling to me. Because if I make sure that it's humbling to me, that means that I stay grounded. I want all the glory to my team, all the glory to God, and all the glory to my team. Okay, because that way I can stay grounded, So it's a great experience in Margate. I learn all the time. I have a fantastic manager. He gives me the rope that I need to do whatever I need to do. We have tough people, but they're all good. The directors are all good. They have great operations. We were able to argue and to get things done and to streamline things. So, but it's a big operation, and there's a lot of new things for us. I mean, we have 3 unions. I have to be in all the union negotiations. So
that's awesome.
So imagine, it is. I'm like a fly on the wall there, learning. And my career is not done. Listen, when I was with Mary Steerheim, and we did some great things for the Collins Center. We started the Leroy Collins Ethical Institute in Florida Atlantic University and FAU, and we started that with $475 seed money that we had, that I found. So no, the whole story is God. It's all God. It's crazy. But Mary Steerheim always used to be. They used to call him the fixer, because when you had a problem in government, you called Mary Steerheim, he went and fixed it. And one day I'm talking to him, and I had fixed something really, really, really big. I mean, we had like $20,000 in the bank, and we're just going to take that money and give it to a nonprofit. And someone called us from Miami and said, we have these properties. You have put some liens on these properties, and we know we owe you like $30,000. Can we give you the $30,000? Will you settle for that? So I talked to the board at that time, and it was a board of 4, including the grandson, Leroy Collins III. And they said, yeah, take the $30,000. So I said, let me check first. So I looked at all the financial statement and I started looking. At that time, I was working out of the house for Collins. And I found, Manny, $525,000. $525,000 that they owe us, not $30,000. So I sat down for 2 days and I wrote this email, 1-pager. My goal was to get a 1-page email to this lawyer and explain that he owes us $525,000 and send him all the backup and all the proof. And I left it there like I call it, leave it in the oven, because come back to it and massage it a little bit more. And I sent this email to this guy, and within 4 hours, he wrote me back and said, have your lawyer call me so we can know when to send the money.
That's amazing.
And that's how we were able to give FAU $475,000 and completely dissolve the company. And when I did that, he said to me, you're the new fixer. You're the new fixer. And if there's a desire that I have in my heart, is that after I finish with my daily, day per day career and wherever I'm at, that I can become that fixer, that I can become that person that people call and say, I got this problem, can you come and fix it? And I can go there and shed some light and I can fix it. and I love to make things better. I love to make cities better. I think that I think that there's a purpose for my life. That purpose is in public service. It's either that or a lot of people have. You know how many people have come to me, Manny? I mean, even walking downtown Miami, in the 7-Eleven, people have come to me, tapped on my shoulder, and I'm like, "Hi, are you a pastor, sir?" Do you know how many people have done that? Probably 7, 8, 9 people.
You got a positive aura.
I'm telling.
There are people who
you
say that they can see the aura.
And I'm like, oh my God, no,
you got a positive
I'm
aura.
not. But I can pray for you if you want. I mean, this happened to me in downtown Miami. It happened to me in 7-Eleven. It happened to me at the church. It used to happen all the time. And so there's a purpose for my life. And I think that purpose is probably in public service because I like to do good and I like to see things working and running well. Okay. And so I didn't choose that. I think that public service chose me, and I think it's a mandate from the Lord to help a lot of things, a lot of people, a lot of towns, a lot of whatever it is. Because I know for a fact, okay, being humble about it, I will tell you, I can help make it better.
100%.
I can definitely help make it better.
100%. And Ismael, we have about 5 minutes left in the show. So there's two things that we're gonna do. You're the host for about 2 questions. If you want to ask Albert one, me one, whatever you want, and then we close it with you with some words of inspiration, motivation for that next Ismael Diaz. That kid out there that might be in Puerto Rico or in the Bronx or here that they don't know what their path is and helping them find that. So we'll start off. We'll turn it over to you. You got 2 questions. Anything you want to ask either
Absolutely.
myself or Albert?
So I mean, I follow you. We've been friends for a little bit. And what's next for you?
Very very similar path, right? So I'm weighing similar how God tells us sometimes, hey, look, it's time to go. Ran for county mayor, came in 2nd place, right? It met a bunch of people. Never thought I'd get 65,000 votes. It was an amazing process, and I'm very thankful for it. But I also got to see something similar to you, getting that perspective where we can make things better, and it doesn't mean that it has to be in an elected fashion, right? There's working in a trade organization that makes a difference, working at a city that needs some TLC. And my eyes opened up when I saw the amount of cities in Dade County, not all of them, but that needed some TLC, right? That aren't going in the right. So that might be the direction that I go either. And I also teach at the university, which I enjoy a lot. So I don't know if I maybe be a university professor, but also I want to go into that public service realm where I started off as a staffer. I was 7 years as a senior legislative aide in the Florida House of Representatives. I enjoyed it a lot. Got to do amazing things. And maybe that's the path that similar to how you said, we got to listen to God. And I think me not winning, the mayoral seat, but the positive thing was I left that race better. There was no controversy. There was nothing that came out. I don't have anything. I'm a very transparent guy. The Herald actually wrote great things about every reporter, every interview I did was very positive. Even my opponents, a lot of them text me after like, man, we appreciate you. We appreciate you bringing up so many important issues. So yeah, I love to go into that realm. Maybe one day you're the city manager of a huge city in South Florida, and I work for you. Who knows?
You never know, right?
Who knows where
life is something.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, you're a young guy, and you've done great things. I mean, you have a fantastic career. So
appreciate that.
That's an awesome thing. From all this time that you have spent in politics and in being a public servant, right? What is the one thing that this is a 2-part question? What is the one thing that you have learned? And as a city or town manager, what advice would you give me? So the first one is what have you learned? If one thing that you have learned through all this process in your life, even now that you got that you were second in this race, but what is everything from being a staffer to now to everything?
We're going to take a minute to thank our sponsors. We're powered by Miami Lakes Automall. Thank you to Fred Senra. He actually gave the seed money to start this with the school. He's located at 16600 Northwest 57th Avenue in Miami Lakes, 305-455-3510. Ismael, had you seen this? Was this here before you had left, the mural?
The mural was here. Yeah.
What do you think, man?
It's beautiful. The whole thing is just absolutely.
So it was.
I like the theme too.
It is.
It's a very nice theme. Yeah.
Grisel Gajano, great person, school counselor right down the street during the day, an incredible artist. You can reach her at 786-353-8608. We got some peaks outside. I know you remember Peaks Scene on Main Street.
Yeah, absolutely.
We got some of that out there. Gloria, Hector, we appreciate you guys. We love you all. They're located at 6725 Main Street, 305-558-3212. Shout out to the Manor Lakes broadcasting team. They work really hard. Albert, Brent, and Lucido. They have 11 classes now. They started with none. It was no kids, and now they have 11 periods. Over 100 something kids as part of the program. Shout out to them. And then the Roadcaster was donated by Enrique Santos. He was actually on the show one day. He was like, "What are you guys doing? Why didn't you have real equipment?" He went out to Sam Ash, actually just closed, sent out Harold, and came back with a Roadcaster. So that gets great utilization. Thank you to all of our sponsors. So now, more than ever, I've realized this, and that people don't ever remember what you did. Because you hit on the head. Very similar. Human beings never remember what you did, but they will always remember how you made them feel. Right? So one of the things that happened to me the other day, and it was a major realization. I had a guy, we were at the sandbag distribution. Hurricane Milton was coming this way. It ended up going a little further north. We didn't get much of an impact, but we gave out 5,000 sandbags. And I had two folks back to back. I had shown up, I was teaching, and I went over there, all the volunteers were there, and the first car that I went up to, the gentleman comes out of his car and he says, "Mayor, you don't remember this, but 10 years ago, you were the only person who responded to my email. And not only responded to my email, you took care of the issue." He goes, "You don't even remember what the issue is." And it's irrelevant today. But I appreciated that so much that for the rest of my life, whatever you do, I'm going to be supporting you. I had no idea who the guy was. And then the next person was an older lady who talked to me about her mom that had passed away. And she was like, "I'll never forget that you took the time to say hi to us, to talk to us, to tell us, hey, what do you guys need? How you doing?" This is years ago, and I don't remember that, but it hit me when I went home, and I was like, man, nobody's gonna remember that I slept at City Hall during Hurricane Irma, and we were out there working, or that we had it, or they're just gonna remember how I made them feel at some point. Right. So when you talked about how I went to your office, that was like, wow, that day that I went into your office, I was like, whoa,
Did you remember that?
I remember but I don't remember the exact. But I remember talking to you, and making sure that because I appreciated you, and I wanted to. But now you sharing that with me is just a reiteration of that belief, right? How important it is. People will never remember what we did sometimes, right? Maybe they do. Oh, you did this, you did. But people remember how you made them feel. So that was something to me. How. Now I see it more. There's people that when I worked as an aide in the legislature, this is talking about session 2006, who still remember that we would hang out, play together, and I would give them, after we would go play basketball, and I would give them advice on different, and I don't remember what they're talking about, and so as a human being, now that's my biggest takeaway is that, and then on the second part, what was it? What advice?
Advice. What advice would you give me?
Man, I think you're ready. I mean, not for a small city. I think you could be the city manager of some of the biggest cities in South Florida and Florida, to be honest, because the main aspect of being a manager, and I've had two, but I've also traveled the state. When I was part of the League of Cities, all the committees, I met with hundreds of city managers, city attorneys. You have the character, you have the transparency, and then the cherry on top is the financial aspect, right? Where nobody else has that perspective, which I think you have the ingredients to be an amazing city, and not at a small, at a big scale, because your skill set translates really well to that big scale. I'm talking about how God pushed. I mean, not you have that under your belt. So I mean, listen, if I were the mayor of Tampa, Jacksonville, or something, I mean, you'd be the guy.
I appreciate that. That's and I don't know if I'll ever make it there, but you never know, right? So I'm always ready. So I appreciate that. I appreciate those words. To the students.
So which camera do you want them to? So if you could look at that one, and it could be to the students, to that next kid who needs that inspiration, those words of motivation, if you could share with.
Absolutely. Well, I cannot tell you much. I don't have that many words of wisdom, but what I can tell you is that there's two things that I think that are very important in our lives as human. And one is I had a spiritual experience one time, which I won't go into, but I had a spiritual experience one time, and the message to me was, because I was upset and I was saying some things in my mind and saying some things out loud, the message was, never change the way you are, because I was saying those things, but I did not mean them. So there's going to be something inside of you that is going to grow. There's going to be something that is going to tax you. There's going to be something that is going to call your name every single day for you to be, for you to do. And always be congruent with those type of feelings, and be congruent with that type of information. Be congruent with all of that, and never change the way you are. Never change who you are because of anything external. So that's number one. And number two is, I will tell you that the world, life is not a bed of roses. Things are going to absolutely happen. And if I can give you one advice, that is, never, ever give up. Never give up. So that's all I got to tell you. That's all I can tell you. That's all the wisdom that I have for you today. And God bless you and everything that I do. And I also want to thank you, but I also want to tell you one thing, and that is that my upbringing was not the best. But I'll tell you, my wife Diana and my daughter Isdi, they saved my life. It is because I am here, sitting here, because of my wife and because of my daughter. If my wife would have not come to my life, I would have been completely lost. And if my daughter would have not come to my life, I would have not been stable. So because of those two women, they saved my life. I'm here today. So glory to God and glory to them.
Shout out to them. And,
yeah, absolutely.
And there you have it. The great public servant, Ismael Diaz. You could watch him, how he grows, how he produces incredible services, transparent in the city of Margate. So make sure you tune in over there, you watch over there, because you could see a lot of the good government, the ethical leadership that has been injected over there in the city of Margate. Tune in next Wednesday on Instagram, Facebook, X, and YouTube.